Ladies and gentlemen, that sounds like the familiar music, the entrance music of Mr. Maximo, Mr. Joe Maximo, Mr. Mike Verna, and Mr. Blake Moore is slated to take on Snot this evening. And what are your thoughts on this match, Mr. Steranko?
My thoughts is that this is going to be one of the most hard-hitting six-man tags FSW has ever seen. Now, a lot of people are saying that Snot has no chance because of the caliber of athletes they're facing with these three. Champion Mike Verna, legend Joel Maximo, and flawless Blake Morris. But let me tell you something, Snot may be Snot, but the men that are representing Snot tonight have quite a wrestling resume to stand for them.
Absolutely, there's no question about it, Mr. Steranko. And this will be some match as Snot continues to grow in size and strength and numbers.
Slowly but surely becoming one of the most powerful factions in professional wrestling. And I'm glad to say that I've been a fan since the beginning.
Mr. Mike Verna, the champion here at Fighting Spirit Wrestling, and the fans absolutely love this man.
Mike Verna now has been holding the torch and the championship for almost a year at this point.
Well, Mr. Verna puts that belt on the line every event, and that's no lie. You know that. Mr. Verna likes to get in the ring. He likes to put the titles up.
He's a fighting champ, I'll give him that.
Right now, the team of Mr. Maximo, Mr. Blake Morris, and Mr. Mike Verna in the ring as they await Senor Steranko.
I already see the flag. Everybody in this whole place should be standing up right now. How dare they stay seated?
Come off it, Mr. Steranko. I will not stand for this flag here. Ooh, the faction that the flag represents.
I bet you'll stand for your Union Jack.
Well, the Union Jack is a distinguished flag there, and the Snot flag, not my cup of tea, as it were.
Should be called the Union Jack ass. Look at the size of Kevin Matthews. 6'5", 289 pounds.
Absolutely, Mr. Matthews.
It is quite the force they're up against tonight. Like I said, you might have the world champion, you might have a Lucha legend, and you might have flawless Blake Morris. But you also got the Croatian sensation Mario Baccara, too cocky Kevin Matthews, and the bad guy Azrael in there representing Snot. It's not going to be an easy thing for the buddies.
Absolutely. Snot's a strong faction because they have some quite talented wrestlers in the faction of Snot here. There's no question about that.
Look at the body language in the ring right now. As you can see, the champion and Maximo, they're all facing each other back to back. That means they're cornered against a faction of Snot.
Well, we're going to see what's going to happen here with Snot tonight.
See Snot win, nothing's going to happen there. Yeah, Wesley?
Perhaps, but Mr. Steranko, this match is an interesting matchup.
Senor Steranko, please.
Senor Steranko, quite an interesting match here because Snot needs to be put in check, and Mike Verna, a man at odds with Mr. Maximo at this point, and at odds with Mr. Morris, have come together to take over Snot. That shows what kind of a threat Snot is. and what kind of a faction they are at Fighting Spirit Wrestling.
You're absolutely right. You know, you said this match is going to be interesting. It's going to be more than interesting. This is the blockbuster in the making right in front of us.
We'll see what happens here.
Oh, okay. It looks like Joel is stepping out. So is the champ. They're giving Blake Morris some time to shine in the ring there against the bad guy Azrael.
Absolutely. And Azrael and Blake Morris, we know what they can do.
There goes Snot getting on the good side of this crowd, per se. You know, these hooligans, they never learn. Look at that. We started.
And we started.
The bell hasn't even rung yet. Ha! Let's listen to these crude fans.
And the bell's rung, ladies and gentlemen. This is a highly anticipated match here.
It's on.
And Mr. Verna, Mr. Maximo, and Mr. Morris to take on Snot, Mr. Bokura, Mr. Azrael, and Mr. Matthews. And they'll lock up in the center of the ring. And Mr. Morris and Azrael, we've seen what these guys can do.
Now, we got a packed card tonight, but this might be the show stealer of the evening.
Well, this is an unbelievable matchup. This is the match where Mr. Verna, Mr. Maximo, and Mr. Morris realizing that Snot must be stopped, and this is the match that's going to happen, Mr. Steranko. That's my thoughts.
Morris, just that strength, flipping Azrael right over his shoulder.
Absolutely. And Mr. Morris, quite an athlete, quite strong.
You know, let me say something that you just said right there, Wesley. It took Joe Maximo to have to team up with Champ, Mike Verna, and Blake Morris just to oppose Snot. That's how powerful Snot is getting.
Exactly, and that's the reason they must be stopped there.
I say move out the way and let Snot reign.
As Mr. Morris there, working on the arm of Azrael. Clearly in the control at this stage of the match is Mr. Morris, as he tries to drag him back into that corner.
Now Morris is being smart. He's keeping Azrael in the corner of his team.
Here's the tag to Mr. Verna.
Here we go.
Maybe not. Yeah, there is a tag, and he's taking his time. Coming in is the champion, Mike Verna.
Now let's not forget something. If I'm not mistaken, Blake Morris has a match owed to him for the FSW Championship.
Absolutely, he does have a match owed to him. He was the winner of last month's Battle Royal at the Lions Den.
Look at these two. Look at these teammates.
And what's going on here? Mr. Verna bickering with Mr. Morris.
All right. And Bokara in the ring.
And Mr. Bokara having a go with Mike Verna.
You don't see bickering happening on Snot's corner, I'll tell you that. Wow. That's your hats off to Lucha Extravaganza tonight with Una Kunrana.
Unbelievable, perfectly executed. And you see Mr. Maximo being the trainer, training Mike Verna. Mr. Verna has some of that luchador style with him, Mr. Steranko. There's no question about that.
Oh, it's going to take a lot more than that to get the former PWS champ out of the game. And here comes
Mr. Matthews, unbelievable.
Too cocky Kevin Matthews. He has the most PWS championships in history, my friends.
Absolutely.
Oh.
And Mr. Maximo in the center of the ring with this monster. And a big knee to the face and a drop kick to the face of Mr. Maximo. And he bloody thrust Joel Maximo.
The Snot flag is waving like old glory.
And Mr. Maximo having a go here with Mr. Bokara. Mr. Maximo flipping him over the side of the ring there.
Wow. Maximo's clearing house.
And Mr. Maximo clearly in control at this point. And Mr. Matthews there
I don't know. I think
John.
Maximo should have given that a couple more minutes. That cost him.
Absolutely, and they're in the corner here.
I understand he has the heart of the fighter. The heart of a fighter. He wants to go after the fight, but sometimes you got to use your brains.
Absolutely. As Mr. Matthews working on Jero Maximo, but he run his head, and here's Mr. Bokara working on Jero Maximo as Osriel gets into the center of the ring, and they're trying to intervene there, and they're bloody thrashing Mr. Maximo.
If Matthews has his way, he's
and Mike Verna comes to the rescue of Mr. Maximo, and Mike Verna tosses Chris Rex there.
Why is he attacking Chris Rex? He's not even in the match.
Because this is an all-out war, and this is, you know how Snot, they don't play fair.
I don't know about that. It seemed pretty fair there.
And Osriel showing his strength. Body slamming Mr. Maximo. And here's an attempted pinfall. And Kevin Matthews there.
I haven't seen Maximo getting tossed around like this at all, ever.
Bokara with a massive knee to the face of Mr. Maximo. And now working on Mr. Maximo in the corner with a series of punches to the body. And a massive body shot. Put Mr. Maximo down. And now the foot of Mr. Bokara is in the face of Mr. Maximo.
Very disrespectful there. I don't know if Maximo wants to lose tonight in Lucha Extravaganza. And there goes Chris Rex, who's giving some words of advice to Mr. Maximo.
Absolutely, as Snot always does, with the dirty tricks off on the side, taking shots at Mr. Maximo, Mr. Bokara, and a reversal whip into the corner. And a massive kick to the face there. Jero Maximo just turned the heat up there with that.
Next time Bokara wakes up, he might be back in Croatia after that.
Here is Mr. Verna.
Listen to these crude fans.
And Mr. Verna will hold him up for a vertical suplex and a massive DDT to the champion, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. And Mr. Verna has had concussions in the past, and that looks like that might be another concussion right there. That was unbelievable, Mr. Steranko. Senor Steranko.
As they say on the streets, not a good look for Mr. Verna.
Well, Mr. Verna showing the heart of a champion still.
And now it's Snot using those brains and keeping Verna in their corner, tagging in and out.
As Mr. Verna showing the heart of a champion. As Mr. Osriel is trying to work on him with a boot to the face there. Trying to toy with the champion in the center of the ring. Still woozy, apparently, from that massive DDT that was laid upon him.
Yeah, heart might not be enough for him to overcome the situation.
And this is an unbelievable match. It's like this could be the main event itself, ladies and gentlemen.
Every match tonight could be the main event. Oh, Blake Morris tagged himself in. Looks like Verna didn't like that much.
Absolutely, and the bickering continues between Mr. Morris and Mr. Verna, and Mr. Osriel clearly taking advantage. With a missile drop kick off the top rope by Blake Morris, squarely into the chest of Mr. Osriel, and he's not done with him. And a martial arts ability clearly on display here, ladies and gentlemen, as Mr. Morris bloody kicked him right in his face.
That was a thing of beauty.
And this match has been unbelievable, Mr. Steranko.
Yeah, this is action-packed. There you go. Not
massive drop kick to the face there by Osriel, showing the unbelievable ability.
I see Bokara there, showing Blake Morris some appreciation.
Osriel, clearly one of the more athletic wrestlers in this promotion here. Woo. He's a high-flying individual with no fear and a massive chop.
The whole place just reverberated from that chop.
Mr. Matthews is scooping him up and giving him the old slam there.
There goes Kevin Matthews. Looks like he's giving the Snot's elbow. Just some snot. Rake to the face with the laces on his boots. I love that move.
Mr. Matthews trying to work on. Wait a minute, a near fall there.
That was a sneaky roll up.
Mr. Morris really needs to make a tag. Must get Mr. Verna involved. Mr. Verna just did not see what happened there.
Not at all. And that goes to show you Kevin Matthews' ability. He knows where he is at in the ring at all times. He didn't even look behind him to deliver that elbow to Mike Verna's face.
Absolutely. That was quite a sneaky maneuver there.
Azrael just pounding on the body of Blake Morris, taking that strength away from his core. Beautiful.
Unbelievable. And Mr. Azrael is all over the place. I mean, this guy's lightning quick in the ring. And not the scary thing, Snot has so many talented wrestlers in its ranks.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a great combination in this three-man tag. You got Azrael in there with the speed, jumping around the ring. You got someone with the size of Kevin Matthews, and then you got someone like Bocara, who's just a full package. Amazing teamwork.
Absolutely. Mr. Bocara.
All the bases covered there.
Sleeper hold. Oh, Mr. Morris in the center of the ring. He has all the leverage here. And Mr. Morris not ready to top out.
I don't know.
Not ready to tap out at all.
I think Maximo should throw in the towel. I mean, these are his wrestlers. He doesn't want to see them hurt, does he?
Absolutely not.
Or that hurt, rather.
Here comes the strength of Mr. Morris. And Azrael with a big knee there. Mr. Bocara.
Nice. That was a great, great suplex.
Unbelievably, perfectly executed. Both men in the center of the ring here.
That took a lot out of both of them. Now it's a race to see who's going to get to the corner first.
Absolutely, this is absolutely vital to see who makes the first tug.
And
Mr. Bocara doesn't know what corners he's in. And he was bloody masked there in the face by Mr. Maximo.
Oh.
And a crossbody dive off the top rope there. A massive clothesline to Mr. Matthews, another one. And Mr. Maximo in the center of the ring. And he'll have a go here. And what's going on?
Not enough power there.
And Maximo bloody tossing him as he and Mr. Maximo.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That was pretty devastating on the big man.
Mr. Maximo showing the absolute strength. And a big kick to the face to Azrael there.
Maximo's jumping around the ring just as good as Azrael. And he's about 100 pounds heavier.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on here?
Uh-oh.
And Mr. Verna now bickering, wanting to take the place of Mr. Blake Morris. And looks like these two guys are going to get the time. They're going to have a go here.
That's an interesting teamwork.
And Mr. Maximo.
Wow. Maximo went down. It looks like it was a DDT from the top rope.
Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Maximo.
These guys are too busy fighting each other. They don't realize that their partner is pretty much out of commission.
Clearly feeling the after effects of that maneuver. As Mr. Bocara and Azrael conferring outside the ring.
Snot is doing a good job of getting their energy back up. Oh, wow.
And now what's going on with Mr. Verna?
Oh, that was a super kick coming off the rope that Mike Verna just ran into.
And Mr. Blake Morris, ladies and gentlemen.
I think this is over. How can you be a team after that? He's leaving.
Now what's going on here?
He's leaving. That's what's going on.
Mr. Morris.
2 against 3.
Now, this is absolutely unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on here?
What do you think?
What is going on here?
You think Verna and Maximo are going to be enough to take on these 3? Oh, wait a second there.
And Mr. Verna, not knowing where he is perhaps.
Perhaps.
And this match is quickly disintegrated as Azrael goes to the top rope.
There's one man left in the ring.
And a massive frog splash. And he'll... Oh my... Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Only a 2 count, ladies and gentlemen. That was premature. As Mr. Matthews now putting his hands on an official. Not good. Not a good look there, Mr. Matthews.
I saw 3. This match is over. I saw 3. I don't know what Ref Ozzy is doing, is signaling right now.
And where is Mr. Stockpole? Ladies and gentlemen, this entire match has disintegrated into absolute chaos.
Well, whose fault is that?
And wait,
Wonderful curb stomp.
bloody working on Mr. Maximo.
And now it's officially over.
And this is an absolutely disgusting display by Snot, ladies and gentlemen.
What are you talking about? They capitalize on the situation.
Absolutely disgusting display by Snot here.
I think it was a display of intelligence by Snot. Oh, and there goes the Snot flag draped on the owner of this company.
Right.
That is symbolism right there.
Well, Mr. Maximo being disrespected here with the Snot flag.
I think he should consider it an honor. He's getting draped by the symbol of one of the best factions in pro wrestling today.
Snot clearly a problem here at Fighting Spear Wrestling. Mr. Maximo knows that. He attempted to put a stop to it tonight, but ladies and gentlemen,
I love it.
Mr. Maximo in the center of the ring, looking up at the lights as Snot parades around, waving their banner, their disgusting banner.
Okay, you want to talk about disgusting? What about the way Blake Morris and Mike Verna acted towards each other? You don't say anything about that, do you? Now,
Well,
this wouldn't have happened if they were acting like a proper team.
Well, I do agree. Mr. Morris and Mr. Verna's bickering, their sub-theme going on there between them, cost them this match here tonight, Mr. Steranko.
Damn right.
You're 100% right.
Snot is continuing their time of domination here in FSW and the rest of professional wrestling. That was amazing. Oh, look, it's PJ Stackpole.
And here's Mr. Stockpole. I was wondering where he was, but let's listen here.
Everybody be quiet.
Maximo, I don't have to have Buck in my corner. Tony needs in my corner. And maybe even Sandow. Hey, son, you're gonna learn to respect. And we're gonna let you.